which I love very much, very beautiful, very outgoing. Hi, Natalie, she's watching. so, I had already had a child, and when I got pregnant with her, I was 19, I was working two jobs, and I was going to school. And, when I got pregnant the first time, the first thought in my mind was like, how could this happen to me? And, I want to have an abortion. So I told my mom, and she wasn't on board with it, and the father, he was definitely not on board with it. And they did everything in their power to manipulate my decision and my choice and tell me, that's not what you should do. And by me being 19 and not having the proper information or access to it, or never having sex education in school, or either from my mom. Me and my mom, we never had, a complete sex talk. It was, if you get pregnant, you're getting kicked out of my house, which I feel is very inappropriate, and that's what a lot of young women and young men get today for the sex talk, which is basically telling them don't do something that's a natural function, because if you do, you're going to get pregnant. And we all know that pregnant or getting someone pregnant is not the worst thing that can happen. You can get HIV, AIDS, it's all kind of STDs out here that attack your health. So, telling me don't have sex because I'm going to get pregnant is not going to keep me from having sex. It might keep me from having sex in your house, but it's not going to keep me from having sex. So, with that being said, my mom, we had that talk, and, while I was in her house, yes, I sustained from sex. But then as soon as I got out of her house, I wanted to experiment, and I wanted to know what it was, and I didn't have proper information, so I end up pregnant. And with that pregnancy, I decided to, carry my pregnancy to terms and have my daughter. But I support her solely by myself. I have no support from the father. When I have to go to work or I have to go to school and do things, I have to get her dressed, get her out the door, get her to child care. I now have two people that I have to dress, clothe, feed, house. Having a child is a big responsibility, and why should I be forced into that responsibility if I'm not ready? And so a year later, I end up getting pregnant again, and I was working a job where I was getting 40 hours a week on minimum wage, and I was told that I still could not afford a place of my own in the city of Chicago because you're required to pay 3 times the rent. And how was I going to support my daughter? How was I going to buy food, pay for light, pay for gas? I couldn't afford it, even though I was working 40 hours a week. Working my butt off, 40 hours a week, making minimum wage. I could not afford my own place. So, I ended up getting pregnant, and thought on my mind, how could this happen to me again? Why does this keep happening to me? And, so I said, this time I'm not going to let anybody manipulate my decision or my options. I know what's best for me, and I know that what's best for my daughter that I have here. I can't afford another child. I'm barely making enough to support her. And so why would I be selfish and bring another child into this world that I cannot support properly, and split the little that I have for my daughter, have to split in half with someone else? So, I'm scraping up money, and I'm trying to come up with the money, because the abortion procedure is very expensive, just like any other procedure. And I just don't understand, in the world, I don't understand how Henry Hyde could come up with this amendment, that says that I can't pay for an abortion with a medical card. But, people will pay $10,000 and over for you to, come to terms with your pregnancy, have a child that you can't afford, then you have to be on welfare, getting food stamps and getting public assistance and public housing, and it just keeps you in a spiral of poverty instead of doing something simple like paying for the legal procedure of an abortion. So anyway, I found out I couldn't pay for it with my medical card. I didn't have enough money. So I'm scrabbling and scraping, and I'm thinking, like, what can I do? I'm calling these clinics. I'm like, do you have a payment plan? Like, what can I do? I get paid every 2 weeks. Can I pay some now and get it done? Pay some later? So, finally a clinic told me about the Chicago Abortion Fund, which I was like, my prayers are answered. And so I called them and they funded me. Thank God, just thank God for the Chicago Abortion Fund. And I was able to get my procedure, which you can see I didn't die. I'm still here, because when I told my mom before that I wanted to get an abortion, the first thing that she said is, you can die from that. But did you also know that you can die from bringing a pregnancy to terms? And more women, actually, there are more deaths reported of women carrying their pregnancy to terms than there are of women that terminate their pregnancy. And so, I'm still here, I'm still alive, breathing, healthy, and I don't feel bad or ashamed about my decision at all, because at the end of the day, it was the best for me and also for my daughter. Looks like we have a caller. Go ahead, caller.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
Really good, really good. Listen, I just want to make a statement, and it's not meant to beat up on anybody or bruise anybody.
Okay.
But I'm an advocate for learning how to have children. It's a process. You see what I'm saying? And as opposed to just having children by accident. I think it would be prudent for us to learn how to have children. It's just like if you drive a car, you have to have a license. You have to learn how to drive. So you need to learn how to have children.
Well, thank you for calling in, caller, and I appreciate your comments, and I want to comment back on that. Now, you said that we need to learn how to have children. Well, a part of the process of deciding to have children is knowing if you are financially stable, mentally stable, physically fit to do all the running around that you're going to have to do once you have a child, because, being able to adjust to someone else being in your life, and not being able just to walk out the door when you get ready to, you have to be accomplished, in order to be financial stability. I mean, a lot of that goes along with education and being able to complete your education and your goals and things that you have. Also, a part of that is having access to the proper information that will provide you with the things that you need to know about, well, if I take this and I take this, is this going to work accurately? Is this birth control going to be 99.9% effective from preventing me from having a child until I'm ready at 30 or whatever? It's a process. So, learning to have children is fine, but if you don't have the access and the information and the proper tools, which 90% of the time you and I know that communities like mine and yours don't have. I mean, I live on the southeast side of Chicago, and there was a clinic around my house, and it's closed down. And the next clinic is probably about 10 miles away, which is probably like a 30-minute bus ride, maybe 10 minutes in the car. You know what I'm saying? But for people that are on public transportation or that live in that neighborhood and don't have the means to get around or things like that, you know, they're the ones whose health is in jeopardy. Nobody's coming to the community handing out condoms and handing out information on birth control and giving people and educating people with the things that they need, so places like the Chicago Abortion Fund won't exist. You know, if everything was all fine and dandy and information was properly distributed and, you know, we didn't have these systems of classism, racism, gender isms, you know, all these isms, you know, then these places wouldn't be needed. But oh well, they aren't. It is, you know, they're here, so we have to deal with them. And that's why the Chicago Abortion Fund was established. And like I said, whew, amen for the Chicago Abortion Fund, because it helped me in my time of need, and, you know, as so many other women. You know, they get all kinds of calls from different women whose these are literally, you know, life-changing decisions for them. And, you know, if they had the proper education or they had access to the proper information, maybe they wouldn't be in this predicament. So if you want people to learn how to have children, then you have to be, you know, proactive in your community and educate people like we do. That's why we do community outreach on STDs, birth control, domestic violence, healthy relationships, what reproductive justice is, you know, how the media depicts us, you know, the Hyde Amendment, the sex education laws, because we understand that people don't have access to this information, and we have it, and so we take it out to the communities. And so if you want any information, or you have any, you know, calls or anything like that, or you know someone who needs funding, you can give us a call at 312-663-0338, or hit us at the ChicagoAbortionFund.com or info@ChicagoAbortionFund.com. Also, if you want to attend our community forum that's coming up on September 8th about birth control and STDs, if you would like the information about where that is, you can also give us a call. So, wrapping up, I just want to say again how important it is for people to become involved in this movement. We are really, really needed, especially, you know, people of color, because when I go to conferences and things, I barely see us there. Our voice counts. Our voice matters, and if you exercise it, it will not be ignored. And so I just want to thank you all for watching us. We'll be on again next, not next Wednesday, but next month on the last Wednesday. And feel free to call in with any questions, comments, or once again, call us at 312-663-0338, or hit us at the ChicagoAbortionFund.com. Thank you, and good night.